All right. Hello, everybody. Sorry, I'm a couple minutes late. I'm doing this on my own today, which is fitting because I think I'm the only one who really likes astrology this much. So that's probably why it's me talking about it. But I'm just going to give everybody kind of a chance to join and hop on, and then I will start talking. Hello, for those joining. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about astrology and how you can use it in your life and kind of why your big three is so important. So that's what we're going to talk about today. All right. And then this subject is pretty fitting because we're having an astrology sale here in the store and online, 20% off all of our astrology items. That does end Sunday, just so you know. But yeah, so kind of going to give you an idea of why you might want some of those things and how I use astrology in my daily life. So the first thing I want to talk about is your big three. So your big three consists of your sun, moon, and ascendant, also known as your rising sign. Your ascendant is the sign that's on the cusp of your first house. So the way people kind of underestimate how important the ascendant is. Hi, Sammy. How are you? Oh my gosh, it's so funny you're on here. But yeah, so basically people can underestimate the importance of the ascendant because of the fact that they think like the sun sign is the most important. But when we think about it, your sun sign changes only every like 28 days or so. Whereas, and that's a full moon cycle. So it's like anybody born within that time is going to be that sun sign. So that's not super specific. But your ascendant changes just about like every 2 hours. So that kind of is why it's more specific to you. A lot of people think that your ascendant is kind of what you're supposed to learn in this life. So it's your karma or the things that you didn't really have from your past life that you need to focus on in this life that you're living now, in your present one. For me, that's really fitting because Gemini is my rising. So while I might have a Scorpio sun, and Scorpios are known for being a little bit prickly, I guess, and Scorpios may not be the most friendly people in the world as far as the stereotypes go, but with my Gemini rising, that makes me come up a lot more friendly and outgoing and communicative than maybe my sun would. So that is why the ascendant is so important, because it is how other people perceive you, or the first impression that you're going to give other people. So a lot of the time people really underestimate that. But anyway, instead of talking your ear off, I'm going to just show like a couple of the astrology items that we have. And if you have any questions about your big three, about how to find your big three, about what they represent, which I'll probably just go into that anyway, go ahead. And so what if your sun, moon, and rising signs are all in the same sign? So that would make you very, very much embody that energy that's actually called a stellium in a way. Even though your ascendant isn't a planetary body, it's still a lot of energy influencing on that sign, because your sun sign is like your overall persona, basically. And that's the one that when people ask you like, oh, what's your sign? You would answer with your sun sign. Your moon sign is your internal self, your internal life, and your emotional self. So also how you feel comforted. Where your ascendant, like I said, is your first impressions and how you come off to other people. So if all three of yours is the same, that means your persona, your emotional self, as well as how you come off to other people, all align. So you would be a very like consistent person, from my guess. And if anybody else has questions about like their chart specifically, I would love to answer them. This is kind of my jam. I am also offering astrology readings through the store. So what I would do is get your birth time, where you were born, and the date, and then run your chart, and I would send you over like a PDF. Scorpio, Sun, Cancer, Moon, and Aqua Ascendant. Your moon resonates with you the most. And the reason for that is probably because Cancer is at home with the moon. So the moon is ruled, or I'm sorry, Cancer is ruled by the moon. So the fact that your moon is there means it's very happy there. You're probably a pretty intuitive person, and also pretty in touch with your emotions. But since that your moon is your internal self too, that probably is why it resonates with you more. The other thing too is since it's kind of interesting that you have an Aquarius rising, because it is so opposite of Cancer. So you might come off a little bit cold or indifferent to people, but actually internally you are very, very emotional and nurturing. But we have like a lot of books that can kind of help you understand some things. So Gina, you said that you resonate with your Cancer moon the most. So this book, it's got Cancer Witch. That will kind of give you some ideas and how to use them and really like embody that Cancer energy. And we do have one of these for Aries as well and Taurus. So I'm just going to show those really quick. Sorry if it's a little wobbly. Yeah, Aries and Taurus. So these books are really, really, really cute. And they're pretty easy to see. They're well done, I think. But then we also have like these little self-care books, which I think are really, really cute. I would recommend for the self-care books actually getting the one that's for your moon sign, because that's how you care for yourself. So do we have one of these for Virgo? I don't think we have this specific one, but we should have. You know what? I'm going to run and grab it. Give me like 10 seconds. And you're welcome. Okay, I found it. Okay, so we do have one of the self-care books for Virgo. And like I said, these are really cute because it helps you know like how to take care of yourself, right? Even self-care rituals for Virgo. And like I said, going off of your moon sign is probably what I would recommend for that, because that is how you nurture yourself. Just an example for that, like I have a Taurus moon. So Taurus is very physical, sensual. They get comforted by material items. So when I need a little bit of comfort, if I'm stressed out, I'm going to take a hot bath. I'm going to drink wine in the bath. I'm going to eat some chocolate in the bath. I'm going to have like some fuzzy warm blankets, maybe a cup of tea. Physical comfort items. Also buying myself stuff to help myself feel comforted. But the more you understand your chart specifically, the more you know what it is that you need. And also the more you know kind of why you are repeating the certain patterns you're repeating. One of the things that I want to say too is that a lot of people think that astrology or your birth chart is like just using this thing as an excuse. Oh, I'm that way because I'm a Virgo, not because, I'm actually whatever. You know what I'm trying to say? It is not an excuse to behave a certain way because your birth chart says something, okay? Your birth chart is basically a map for the types of lessons that you need to learn in this life. So you're actually supposed to overcome the things that are on your birth chart, not just like accept it and then don't do any growth. It's really important for you to see those things in your chart and then try to see what you can do to counteract that. But also it just teaches you how to take care of yourself. So I want to get into the Aries full moon a little bit because that is happening today. Full moon in Aries. So the moon is in detriment in Aries. So that means it's not really that happy there. Because Aries is so impulsive and the moon, those energies just don't go together fully, right? So somebody with an Aries moon might be, like I said, really impulsive. They could even come off aggressive, easily offended, maybe over emotional. So those themes are going to kind of carry into the fact that this is the Aries full moon right now, meaning that now might be a time that we get overly emotional, that we take things personally. We could be a little bit more aggressive than normal. So just like really being mindful of what's going on astrologically can help you just navigate things a little bit better. So that's why I think like the astrology sale that we're having is awesome, because it's right in time for Samhain, which is a really good time for shadow work. And I do think that if you haven't checked into your birth chart, then you haven't really done your shadow work. A lot of the time those things really line up, and it's so interesting when I'm talking with a client that I read their chart just to see how those things play out. But the next thing I'm going to talk about is, because I said kind of helping to plan things out or using astrology as a means to plan your day out, that kind of thing. So this is something we have. It's called the 2024 Astrology Diary. And it says, this is for the Northern Hemisphere, but it says plan your year with the stars. So it's got a week at a glance diary, monthly sun sign forecasts, tips for excelling during supermoons and eclipse seasons, lots of stuff like that. So this planner would be awesome. And we do have a couple other ones too. But knowing what's, like I said, going on astrologically, and then knowing what your personal transits are, make so much more sense. So you might see like people will post something about an astrology event that's happening, right? And some people are so much more affected by others, and then it's confusing as to why. The reason is whatever. So like, let's say right now, the moon is in Aries, right? Aries rules my 11th house. This is for me specifically. I'm kind of just using my chart as an example because I don't have y'all. So, but anyway, full moon in Aries. Aries rules my 11th house. 11th house has to do with kind of social standing, relationships with other people, your friendships, social aspects, like things like that. So that is what is going to be affected mainly for me. But let's say Aries rules your 3rd house. That is going to be way more of a focus on collaborating, communication, written word, things like that. So that's why it's so important to know where everything is in your chart specifically, so you can know how things are going to affect you. Because like right now, Virgo, Mercury's in Virgo, it's in my 4th house because Virgo rules my 4th house. So of course, the last 2 weeks, I've been cleaning, I've been organizing, I've been doing everything possible that relates to my home. And that's only because of the fact that that's where the planet is sitting for me. But it's different for each person. Also, when you are getting horoscopes, they are not really reading that off of your sun sign, or at least they shouldn't be, because they have no idea what houses any planets are in. So that's really not an accurate depiction. When you are reading a horoscope, you want to make sure they're basing it off of your ascendant. Because if my rising is in Gemini, that means that all of the other houses are going to follow suit after that. It goes in order. This is another reason why I think, like, when some people discriminate against sun signs, it is sort of funny to me. Reason being because we all have each sign in our chart. If you're using the whole sign method, which is the one that I use personally, nothing wrong with Placidius, but I use whole sign. If you are doing that, and like I said, each planet's going to be in different signs. It's so specific, but you have all 12 signs in your chart. So time to do some shadow work. If you really don't get along with a certain type or a certain sign, somebody who's very heavy with one element or the other, like there's a reason for that. The other thing I see a lot of people talk about is like elements. So, if you have no fire in your chart, they'll be like, I don't have any fire in my chart, but that's my favorite element. I love fire. Well, because you're looking for kind of what you're lacking a little bit. And then that also might be why you are attracted to people with a lot of fire in their chart, is because you're looking for what you don't have in yours. Your chart is just a roadmap for your own personal development, a roadmap for the lessons that you're going to have to learn in this life. So I'm actually going to talk about a little candle we have. So even though it's actually the moon that's in Aries, this is the Mars astrological candle we have because Mars rules Aries. And yeah, it's relevant. Okay. So this is called the I Don't Give Up candle. Okay. So this is Astro Magic. So these cute little container. And then the front is so cute too. And so I'm going to read the little saying that's on this just because I really, really like it. So it says, Mars, show me how to win in this game of life. Instill me with the confidence and free me from people-pleasing habits. Show me how to meet my own needs first, last, and always. How to complete my mission and reach my goals. So even though that's a Mars candle, that's Aries energy right there. That's for dang sure. So this might be a good thing to kind of have during the full moon. But really with the Aries full moon, we're focusing on action. Also would be a good time to take a leap of faith. We all know our Aries placements kind of let the universe catch them a lot of the time, right? So it would be a really good time for that, for forcing your dreams to happen and exerting your will, basically, but just being really careful too on how you're communicating with people. Because unfortunately, like I said, with the moon in Aries, sometimes it can make people kind of act a little bit out of pocket, I'll just say. So let's see. And like I said, if anybody has any questions about their chart, about their placements, I would love to explain. I'm not going to run your chart for you because I don't have the ability to do that right now while I'm on the live. But if you had a question about a placement that you have, or just something about astrology that you didn't quite understand, I would be very happy to answer that. But in the meantime, I'm going to talk about another book that we have here. This book is called Dirtbag Astrology, which I absolutely love because I'm always going to go for the unhinged type of astrology, okay? That's just my jam. So it is really a cool book, and the reason is it's very blunt, okay? It might kind of drag you over the coals a little bit, but sometimes we need to be dragged. Yeah, this book is awesome. Would 100% recommend. Now, this book, The Dirtbag Astrology, only goes into sun and moon signs. And a lot of people will get really frustrated because they feel like the astrology books that they have are so basic. It's because there's so much to understand. So first you have to know all of the signs, right? All 12 signs. You have to know all of the planets, okay? Not to mention asteroids and just points in your chart, like the ascendant, the midheaven, north and south nodes, things like that. But then there's also the asteroids like Chiron and all of that too. And Lilith is a point in the sky. So you have to know all of that. Then you go into the houses. So all 12 houses, having to understand what each of those represent and what it means when you have a planet in that house, because each planet is going to change the way that manifests, right? Then you have to know the aspects, which is like a square, opposition, conjunction. So the reason I'm bringing all of this up too, like a big reason why people want to use astrology is for relationship reasons, which is a totally valid thing to do. Synastry readings are amazing. The issue with that though, is it is not just like, oh, do Scorpio and Taurus make a good couple? Because you're only looking at the sun signs with that. You need to know all of the other placements and how they aspect each other to actually know how that's going to play out in a relationship. And again, like you're not behaving a certain way because of your astrology chart. There aren't certain things that happen in your life because of your birth chart. Your birth chart is simply showing you a map of all of that. It's telling you, it's giving you a heads up. So no, astrology is not used to basically just write things off. And if somebody's doing that, if somebody's using their astrological sign in order to justify, mistreatment or any type of behavior that they shouldn't be exhibiting, well, they're probably not that great at it, to be honest. But we do have a couple of these other astrology candles too that are super cute and also on sale. We have the sun one, which is a curse breaker, which totally makes sense to me. Yeah, just the box in general is so cute. This is really funny. Truth serum. That one's for Mercury. You have Saturn. Get the F out, right? So this would be banishing. This is going to be breaking curses, things like that. And it's really cute because each candle, has a certain association with different signs or different planets, and I think it's really cool how it kind of stayed true to that. Like we did have one that was a Venus candle, and it was like that bitch, which I think is really cute. If we still had that, I would buy it. But yeah, like I said, guys, feel free to ask any questions at all about your placement specifically, about a friend's placement, or just like something you don't understand about astrology. I'd be happy to help. Great. Well, if no one has any questions, I'll just keep yapping away. This is a deck that we have. It's called the Stellar Visions Oracle Card. So this is an astrology deck, and the artwork in general is just absolutely beautiful. It looks like it has all of the planets, houses, signs. It just doesn't have the aspects. But this is like the back of the box to kind of show you what that artwork looks like. So this is only $25.99, which is a super good deal for that. I think the box in general is adorable. So yeah, definitely recommend that deck for sure. Oh no, it's going to happen again. This fell in my head before. Okay, we're good. We're good. All right. Does anyone have any questions for me about, I can clarify what sun, moon, and ascendant means, talk about what planets you would look at and aspects you would look at if you wanted for romantic relationships. Just be happy to answer any of the questions that you have. I also brought this over. This is literally just because it's cute, but it still would be on sale. It's like a little astrology thing. I love these things. But yeah, so that would be on sale as well. But basically, like if you go on our website and type in astrology, the stuff should pop up. But if it doesn't, just look through it. Anything that's astrology related should be 20% off. In store, you definitely have a lot more to look at, but still the sale stands. So yeah. All right, so I'm going to go into kind of shadow work a little bit with astrology because shadow work's my jam, so it's easier. That's something I want to talk about. You're going to want to look at where Saturn is in your chart. If you're going to want to do some shadow work, look at Saturn. I like to call him Daddy Saturn because he punishes us. Okay, sorry, scratch that. Shouldn't have said that, but whatever. Anyway, Saturn, he can be a little ruthless. Okay, I'm sure everybody has heard about a Saturn return, which is where Saturn is in the sign that it was in when you were born, but more specifically, and the degree. Once it hits that degree when you were born is when it's actually the full Saturn return. Now, Saturn's only mean to you if you haven't done what you're supposed to be doing. And that's kind of what I've noticed. Like for me, I'm currently going through my Saturn return, and it's like every single thing that has gone wrong that I'm being presented with are issues that are really like close to home for me, things that cause me a whole lot of anxiety. So that's what's popping up during my Saturn return. Now, specifically, my Saturn is in my 10th house, which is a career, a public image. A lot of people with that placement don't really get like super successful until later on in life, like after your Saturn return. If you were to have Saturn in the 7th house, that means a lot of your lessons are going to be revolving around partnerships, especially romantic relationships. Saturn in the 5th house, you probably never really had a chance to be a child. You were like born as a full grown person, right? And your lesson is going to be how to embrace that inner child, how to have fun, how to creatively express yourself. So that's why, because Saturn is Saturn, right? what house it's in is what matters. The other thing too that I see a lot is people would be like, oh, the only like Scorpio I have in my chart is Pluto. Millennials, right? That's not really a Scorpio placement. Everybody has Pluto and Scorpio because it's such a slow moving planet. So that's really a generational placement. Same with like Neptune, Uranus, even, you know, as far as like some of the other ones. Basically, I'm just saying, just because you have the outer planets in certain signs doesn't really mean that's going to affect you very much. Look at what house it's in your chart. That's how you know what really, like how it really plays out in your life specifically. That's also why a lot of people will read astrology, like they'll read a horoscope and be like, it's completely inaccurate. Yeah, because a lot of people really aren't that well versed. There's a type of cotton candy astrology that kind of is well known, the mainstream. And that's sort of why certain people don't resonate with it, is because it's not really taking their full chart into effect, and it's not taking it into account, and therefore it's not going to make sense. So I really recommend, like, if you truly think you don't believe in astrology and you've got a little bit of, you know, cash burning a hole in your pocket, getting a reading from a reputable astrologer, having them check out your whole chart, you should have your birth time, because that really is what like makes a big difference. Have your birth time and see what they have to say, because you really would be surprised how accurate some readings could be. Once I started to fully understand my chart, I really started to understand myself. So, but you know, it doesn't look like you guys have any more questions. Sorry that it was just me today and it was kind of a short live, but you know, we'll be next and back in business next week. But yeah, like I said, astrology items 20% off. Both in store and online. So definitely check it out. And thank you so much for listening. Bye-bye.